Change isn't hard because you're lazy or broken. Change is hard because as much as you want to change, there's another part of you that wants to stay the same. Self-motivational interviewing is how you lead yourself through that conversation with yourself so that you can finally break through to the other side and make the change that you want to see in your life. Whether that be on a fitness level, finally reaching the fitness goal, or on a business level where you become the kind of person who can build and maintain a business. Internal self-motivational interviewing is how you get that done. Lead yourself through change. Most people think they fail to change because they lack discipline or they're lazy, but that's not true. Change fails because we're trying to force ourselves to do something instead of listening and learning from the part of us that's resisting. So what does that look like as a practical example? Let's say you want to get fit, but there's a part of you that doesn't want to give up your comfort. You're comfortable in your routine, you're comfortable in your habits, you're comfortable eating what you eat and moving your body how you move it. Let's say you want to grow a business, but you're afraid of exposing yourself, putting yourself out there, or you're afraid of failing, or you're afraid of actually having that success and what it means for you in your life. Let's say you want to change your life so that your living situation is better, but right now what is around you feels comfortable, it feels familiar, so there's a part of you that wants to keep the status quo, that doesn't want to change it because you feel safe as things are right now. That internal conflict between your change and your status quo is what keeps a lot of people stuck. But it's normal, it's 100% normal. Everybody experiences it whenever they try to make a change in their life. But if you don't know how to lead yourself through that change, then you'll sabotage yourself every single time. So in today's video, we're gonna talk about it. So let's talk about it. This is Fit for Business. I'm Barry Barbell, and this is the podcast for you if you're ready to turn your strength into leverage and build the body that builds the business. So what is self-motivational interviewing? Motivational interviewing is a technique that coaches and therapists use to guide their clients through the change process. Self-motivational interviewing is taking those motivational interviewing principles and then applying them to yourself so that you can lead yourself through the change that you want to make. So instead of commanding yourself to make the change that you want, or instead of shaming yourself into making whatever change that you want, it helps to get curious. Get curious about the resistance that you're feeling and understand what you can learn from that resistance so that you can work with it and actually move forward and become closer to the changed version of yourself that you want to see. So bottom line is that you don't change yourself by bullying yourself. You change yourself by understanding yourself and then working with yourself in order to get closer to where you want to be. So the core problem that most people face whenever they're trying to make a change in their lives is ambivalence. Ambivalence is when you want two separate things at the same time. So like I said earlier, on the fitness example, it would be like, let's say you want to lose weight, but you're comfortable in your current routine where you don't really exercise, you don't go to the gym, and you eat 3 Big Macs a day every day on your lunch break. So ambivalence is a result of wanting the outcome, but you don't want to go through the process. Ambivalence happens when you want the change, but you don't want to deal with the uncertainty of going through the process of changing yourself. So as a fitness example, let's say you want to get strong and lean, but you don't want to have sore muscles and you don't want to feel hungry and you don't want to mess up your current routine. You don't want to interrupt your current routine. And as a business example, ambivalence would look like you want the freedom and the income that a business can give you, but you don't want the rejection of having to learn to do sales calls, or you don't want the responsibility of building a business and leading a team, and you don't want to risk the capital of establishing a marketing machine to get your message out there. So when people try to make changes in their life, they try to silence that resistance. They try to work through ambivalence by silencing the resistance. The part of you that wants to keep eating the Big Macs, or the part of you that doesn't want to get sore, the part of you that doesn't want to do the sales calls, or the part of you that doesn't want to make the content to get your marketing message out there. People try to silence that part. They try to squash that part of themselves so that they can do the work. And sometimes that can work in the short term, but it's not a long-term solution. You're not actually changing your identity. You're just neglecting the side of you that wants to stay the same. And eventually, after you neglected that side for long enough, it comes back stronger than ever, and you fall back into old patterns. That's how you get people who do those yo-yo diets, right? They'll do like the Atkins diet for like 90 days and then lose 30 pounds and then gain 50 pounds back after that 90-day period. The solution is self-motivational interviewing, so that you can learn to work with that resistance, learn what it is that you're actually resisting, so that you can resolve that and then change your identity and actually make the change. The number one key principle to motivational interviewing is to ask yourself good questions. So instead of asking yourself, what's wrong with me? Why can't I stay disciplined? It helps to ask yourself better questions. Something like, what can I actually do to change? What can I change in my environment right now that'll make it easier for me to stick with the new habits that I'm trying to build? Why does making this change matter to me? What happens if I don't change? So, as a fitness example, some questions that you could ask yourself to advance yourself on your fitness journey would be, what would being stronger allow me to do? Or how would my life feel? How would my body feel after 6 months of having gone through this fitness process? As a business example, you can ask yourself, what problem am I trying to solve in the marketplace? And what does staying the same cost me if I don't solve this problem, if I don't start this business? What is that going to cost me in terms of freedom, income, opportunity? Change sticks when it's connected to your values, not external pressure, right? So you need to know yourself, know what you value, know what you want out of life, what you want to experience, and then align the change that you make with those values so that it actually stays with you. It becomes integrated into who you are, part of your identity. You can't bully yourself into it. It's not only external pressure. You need that intrinsic motivation also. So after you've asked yourself those questions, the next thing you want to do is to explore the resistance that you may be feeling towards the change that you want to make. Now, this is the part that most people skip, but this is the part that will actually integrate the change into your life. It's the part that will keep you from experiencing the yo-yo diet, and it's the part that will keep you from experiencing the shiny object syndrome if you're trying to build a business. So whatever change you're trying to make, ask yourself, what am I afraid of losing? What feels unsafe about this change? What is this resistance protecting me from? So some very common fears that you may be experiencing as you're going through a change, whether it be fitness or business, it could be the fear of failure, the fear of success, the fear of being judged, or the fear of committing and feeling like you're trapped. So resistance isn't your enemy here. Resistance is information, because once you find out what you're resisting, you can listen to your resistance and then design better habits to work with that, to work around it or work through it. Once you understand your resistance, you'll be able to design better habits. You'll be able to identify the small steps that you can take to move you forward each day. And you'll be able to create safety, systems of safety around you as you move towards your change. So after you've asked yourself the questions, you figured out your reason why you want to change by asking yourself questions. And then after you've identified the resistance that you may be feeling to making a change, now it's time to evoke the reason for making a change. The key here is you want to say your reasons out loud. You want to say your reasons so that they resonate with you. And these are reasons that you identified for yourself. It's not something that someone told you that you should want, or a reason that someone told you why you should want something. This is a reason that you came up with for yourself, by yourself. You say it out loud, and then you argue your reason for wanting to change. That's the way that you make it stick. That's how it becomes intrinsic to you. A way that you can identify the reasons that you want to change is by asking yourself the following questions. If I did change, what would be better? What kind of person do I want to become? What would future me thank me for? So let's say as a business or as a fitness example, your future you, when you're 80 years old, would thank your current you for doing squats, for doing heavy squats, because at 80 years old, now you're able to stand up and walk unassisted. You don't need a cane, you don't need a walker, you're able to move unassisted at 80 years old. That's something that future you would thank you for. As a business example, what's something that future you would thank you for? Maybe it's the stability that allows you to take care of your family, or it's the autonomy that you're able to experience in your life. You make your own rules, you set your own life, and you live it how you want. Or maybe it could be the purpose that you feel, the sense of purpose, belonging. You have a place in the world because you created a business that delivers value to a community of people who matter to you. Whatever your reason is, you want to identify it and make sure that it comes from you. Because once your motivation comes from inside, then discipline becomes a whole lot easier. Now, the key to making changes that last is to take small, consistent actions. You don't want to make a big declaration and try to overhaul your entire life overnight. That's how you burn out, and you probably won't see a lot of progress that way. Sure, your life may end up looking a whole lot different than it is right now, but you don't get there all at once. So instead of asking yourself, how can I change my whole life right now? Ask yourself, what small action can I take today to get closer? So maybe it's one workout, maybe it's one healthy meal, maybe it's 1 liter of water, maybe it's sending one cold outreach message, maybe it's starting one uncomfortable conversation, maybe it's creating one piece of content and putting your message out there. Whatever it is, what is one small action that you can take right now, today, to move yourself closer to where you want to be? Self-leadership is not about intensity. It's about honesty and follow through. To wrap it up, the most important leadership skill that you'll learn in your entire life isn't to lead others, but is to lead yourself through change. That's the most powerful skill that you can learn in life. You can literally become anything that you want to be if you learn to lead yourself through change. And leading yourself starts with listening. You need to listen to yourself instead of resisting yourself. You need to seek to understand yourself instead of shaming yourself. And you need to choose to make progress that aligns with who you are and who you are becoming. That's how you make change that lasts. Now, if you want a simple framework for how you can make 1% progress on your fitness journey, I recommend you check out my book, The 1% Better Year. There's a link for you in the description below. It's built around this exact idea. Small, honest steps that compound over time. All right, so that's it. Barry Barbell, Fit for Business. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.